Hydrofield cuts through my neighborhood.
Hi, everybody. It's actually me this time. It's Lucky. And there's Steve.
What's up, y'all?
And tonight, on this Thursday edition of Fearlessly Authentic, we have Apple Jack. I want to bring him in. There's Apple Jack.
Hi, everybody.
Sorry, we're running a few minutes behind.
That was my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
No worries.
It happens. It happens.
Baby stuff.
You know, it's all this privilege that Stever got. You know,
it is. My privilege is wearing off. It rubs off on people. You know.
I know it messes everybody up.
So tonight we're going to be talking a heavy topic, and so we're going to be talking about racism, and just basically what that looks like for us, and you know, our own experiences, and see what you guys have experienced with it. And I have some video clips and articles to help us kind of guide through it.
Beep, beep.
Skyla came by.
I know, right? She looks big. I love that hair.
Isn't that crazy? Beautiful, beautiful hair. So I'm going to start us out with a video. And it's from a YouTube channel. I'm going to grab their link.
I'm going to share this out.
Yeah, please share it out. Hopefully we can get.
Yeah, you should, Vicky. Definitely just blame my privilege.
That's why we can't be brothers.
It's the only thing stopping us. Otherwise, we would be so close. It would just it would blow people's minds. But
yeah, if you stub your toe, just be like, "Damn it, Steve's privilege."
Damn it, Steve's privilege. Why does he stop without that? God damn privilege.
So this might be triggering to some folks if you're sensitive to imagery of people with the tiki torches saying things. But this is an actual YouTube video clip. And I'm going to put the link down here. I just thought this was an interesting perspective that I found that they had about what is race. Oh, yeah. I got to mute us.
What is race?
Have you ever wondered what it means when people say that race isn't real or that it's a social construct? First, what it doesn't mean is that we should all be blind. No, we can all see that there are some physical differences between us. What it means is that the level of importance that we ascribe to those differences are completely arbitrary. In other words, how much we differ by race is not based in real biology. When we study developmental psychology or the process of enculturation, we quickly see that the way that we learn culture or the way that we interact with each other is all socially constructed and learned in our early years.
Our beliefs about race are based on old ideas from a great chain of being from medieval Christianity. This states that nature is composed of hierarchies that begin with God and goes down from there. So starting from greater to lesser. In history, this has been used to justify not only treating animals however we want, but also colonized people as slaves. Despite how we now look at race, from the 19th leading into the 20th century, this ideology was used to rank Europeans and even justify inequalities among them, most notably Italian and Irish populations in the US, but several others as well. Science has found that when it comes down to our physical variations, which includes skin color, 94% of it actually lies within what we call racial groups. In other words, 2 Europeans can often have more physical and genetic differences compared to a Northern European and a person from West Africa.
I bet some of you out there are wondering, how does this make sense? Especially because we can clearly see there's a bigger difference. Well, this is where our bias comes in. We have all been brought into a world where we see skin color before nearly any other feature. But objectively speaking, our skin color is determined by such a small part of our DNA that it cannot determine if a person is, for example, better at sports or smarter. That's not how our genes work. We currently use race to classify between skin colors, but we could have defined race by eye color, the amount of body hair that we have, blood type, whether or not we have an attached or detached earlobe, or even height. Keep in mind here that among different populations in Africa, we can have some of the tallest people in the world and also some of the shortest. So even the traits that we link to skin color are completely arbitrary. There are some physical traits that developed over time in specific geographic locations. But even these traits, like hair texture and nose shape, are still terribly inconsistent. Again, how we define race isn't real because skin color isn't as important as we think. This is not to say that traits are not inherited. No, they definitely are. Hence we have skin color and other traits like eye shape and nose shape. Human populations just have not been apart for long enough in order to develop distinct races.
In the early 19th century, science even used race to rank people, just like the Great Chain of Being mentioned earlier, where Europeans were ranked at the top, while Africans were ranked at the bottom, being said to be biologically closer to apes. But race was only ever a form of control, linking superior traits to one group and inferior traits to other groups. This is most apparent in Latin America, where the casta system clearly ranked people of different racial combinations into a neat little box. To say these have no effect on modern history is a bit naive. The meanings we create matter, and the meanings created in North America, while a bit more subtle than Latin America, are quite similar. So, when we call a person a racist, despite all the negative feelings we might have, it is a reality that many people buy into the race myth. Some believe that by just looking at a person, you can tell whether they're violent or peaceful, or brilliant or stupid. This is why wearing a hood after the murder of Trayvon Martin was seen as a powerful symbol, because a black man wearing a hood was seen by some as something to fear. A racist belief is anything that allows you to rank people, deeming them as inherently lesser than, based off their recent genetic history.
The reality of all of this is that Europeans historically had to make sense out of all the native peoples that they encountered on their voyages of discovery, creating what we in anthropology call the anthropological other. Many of the meanings created back then, now several hundred years ago, were retained because some people could profit off enslaving others. Even though they created these meanings so long ago, we've had to wrestle with them ever since. These philosophical issues were and are taken up by social scientists, who have historically played a huge role in maintaining this dominance over native peoples around the world. So in thinking about this issue, how do you think that the way that we treat race have directly influenced?
So I thought that was really interesting. Did I put their thing in the chat? I think I did already.
I think it's interesting that
That's the video. That's where you guys can get the video if you want to see it.
The way the guy explains why in anthropology people give all these weird sub names and groups and hierarchy. He said to understand it, and the only thing it is capitalism dividing everyone, so there's a class structure, so the people at the top make the most, and it's the same thing that's been forever. You know what I mean? They just That's why there's these classes. That's why there's this hierarchy, because that's how people are used to describing things from top to bottom. And that's it's not changing. Everybody does it constantly, dividing each other more and more and more, infinitesimal differences between us, instead of understanding the nuance between things that are slightly different. They just divide the line and make sure you understand that the contrast is there, and that's it.
Well, I love that they point out that in Africa you can have the pygmy and you can have the tallest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that just breaks every bit of a stereotype right there. And it just shows you that what racism is it's just ignorance. That's all it is. Like when somebody's racist towards another person,
I'm saying
those stereotypes. Like, to me, it's a person being completely just ignorant and uneducated of the facts of what's true.
I think that's absolutely true. But I think like the underlying reasoning for it is so that you have that hierarchical thing in place. You know what I mean? So people know their place, right? Like the animals, you can treat the animals any way you want because we're a higher pecking order from God. That's what they've been taught. That's what everybody's been taught. And then generation after generation after generation. And that's why we don't have tribes. That's why they use the word tribal as a smear instead of embracing it. They're just like, no, it's just tribal. You're being tribal. And it's like, no, that's not a negative thing. If you think about what the word means, they just reappropriate words constantly. And they do the same thing with cultures and everything. It's just whatever's most convenient is going to make the most fucking dollars at the end of the day. That's the plan of action at all times.
Yeah, I see most of the things that I experience is like through systematic racism, but it's still within the certain confines where it's like at the end of the day, it's designed to attack what's considered the lower grade and award what's considered the higher grade.
Right. At all cost, always. Yep. That's the division. That's what I mean. The hierarchy, like from top to bottom, everybody knows their little space to be in, well, I'm only, I only earn this much a year. So I'm in this category down here. And that guy over there, look at fucking Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos. They're way at the top of the thing. You know what I mean? They're close to God. It's like, that's the fucking mindset people have. It's like, I don't know. You would think people would like break out of it, but it's so ingrained and so systematic. Like you're saying, it's a system. It's in place. It's been in place for hundreds of years.
The system is built on it. All
of this is built on it. Exactly.
That is exactly what the system is built on. Is based upon racism and categorizing other people.
Yeah. Assigning status.
Yeah. And there's like some outliers, but those are like the exception. Those are really the people that are willing to grovel at the feet of those that are considered the higher point of the hierarchy.
Yep. Yep. And that's the way royalty works, and nobility. And it's just the fundamental thing that causes us to not think, oh, well, we're all human beings. That's our race. You know what I mean? Like it gets so subdivided that people can't even like if you say that to somebody, most people are just like, what? Yes, no, we're all fucking humans. All of us, we're all human. That it's the human race. And people just like, it gets so obscured by like, ethnicity and skin color and certain stereotypical fucking looks and things that are just like inherent in each race or each subdivision. And it's completely constructed by our own fucking
they just showed that
in the
video that's
subjugate.
That those things aren't actually true. They're falsehoods.
Right.
So we're like tricked into believing that these things could be true if they are in fact but they're not.
It's pretty crazy how deep it goes though. Like, and most people just see the surface of it and don't go any deeper than that. Like, well, we know that's a thing. it's a thing. Well, yeah. Well, let's talk about why it's a thing. Let's talk about how to get past the fucking thing. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be a thing. People make it a thing. You know what I mean? And that's the reason I think it's important that we fucking talk about it, no matter how uncomfortable and fucking weird and how people might misjudge what you say or your take on something as being racist. You know what I mean? It's like that's the last thing that I want to do is actually, affirmate anybody's fucking crazy preconception about, different colored humans. Basically,
so let's get into this a little bit more. I wanted to give a little bit more context and background from people who dive into this much deeper than we do, right? So this is, I found racism and the law. It says on the web since 5. So this is called Signs of Racism. Right here. And this is published in 2011. Category defining racism. The parent category is stereotype, bias, and racism. And what is his name? Ravi Kapoor? I don't know if that's. This is the University of Dayton School of Law. Okay, so although people whose ancestors come from different geographic regions look different, no scientific or biologic evidence exists to support even the idea of race. So that right there, that first line. So let me read that again. Although people whose ancestors come from different geographic regions look different, no scientific or biologic evidence exists to support even the idea of race. So like what Steve was just saying, that we are one human race. Like there really isn't anything that exists in science and biologic evidence that there even is a race. So not surprisingly, it is rare today for a person to admit to being a racist. I agree. Most people don't admit that they are.
Well, a lot of people are not even aware of it. People are not aware of their privilege. Am I right?
Well, I think people just aren't aware that they're saying things that are racist, that they're doing things that are, because they're just not educated. Like I said, there's just a level of ignorance that's around this. And I think that's why it's important to talk about it.
I agree.
And when someone is doing something that's racist, although I am sure that people have everybody has said things that are racist, because there are common terms and common language that we use that is based in racism. Does that mean that we're purposely being racist? No,
not necessarily.
But it means that we need to be aware of what they are and really kind of talk about it and see where that line is. Where does it become offensive and where isn't it offensive? And the opinion is going to vary based upon who you talk to.
Absolutely.
But that's what we have to do, is talk to people, or else we're never going to understand where that line is, where it begins.
I agree.
Yeah, my mother used to say stuff like that. Like, she would be like, whenever she was filling out applications or whenever people would ask them and be like, "Oh, what race are you?" She'd be like, "Human." And she would call people stupid because she's like, "You're asking for my ethnicity. You're not asking."
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. That is exactly right.
That is, to me, that is the fundamental thing, that that division, saying that there's a division between something that is the same. That's you know what I mean? Everything is slightly different from another thing, right? Anyway, so why is that always the, that's the go-to? Oh, you're different, so I'm going to make fun of you, or I'm going to call you a name.
So this says, not surprisingly, it is rare today for a person to admit to being racist. Despite the prevalence of racism, the belief that members of a particular race or ethnic group share common qualities. The word racist has acquired a very negative connotation. And it is somewhat pejorative. Did I say that right?
Pejorative, yeah.
It is even rare for people to openly espouse racist philosophy. Someone can be a racist regardless of their religion, intelligence, cultural level, societal status, benevolence towards members of their own race, or social motivation. Races come from all races. Sometimes the race which they feel they belong to may not be obvious. Racist is thus only implicit in behavior. What are the signs? So I was like, wow. When I first started reading this, I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Mhm.
So it says, what are the signs of it? So they break it down really easy. So I figure we can kind of like go through it and see what we think, if there's any like reaction to each one of these. Reducing people of other races to racial stereotypes. This can be done in very subtle ways. For example, confusing race with culture. A belief that certain races are more adept in particular jobs or functions, a belief in differences in intelligence between the races, etc.
I could actually concur to that because like I look at it like how I explained to you guys how me growing up in my neighborhood where we would have mainly like Black and Hispanic, but then there would be these white guys. And these white people, we wouldn't look at them as white. They'd walk around saying nigga and all of that other crazy shit. And
Right.
we would view them as they were one of us.
Mhm.
Like they had gotten that past. They weren't white. They were from our neighborhood.
Yeah. I see that kind of attitude in all sorts of groups of people. Is if you're fucking tight, you know what I mean? Your boys are your boys, and it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? The race, the skin color becomes just fucking, you know, it doesn't matter. It's indifferent. People are just don't give a fuck about that. Because if somebody is stand up, they're stand up. And that's why it doesn't work on its face. That's why racism is dumb anyway. You know what I mean? People are people. If you're a cool person, you're a cool person. It doesn't matter. All the other shit is just pre-constructed bullshit that we've been fed.
Yeah, like if they're part of your tribe, they're part of your tribe.
Exactly. That's it.
So the advocation of segregation, this advocation represents a belief that different races should live apart, be educated separately, or not intermarry. The advocacy can occur explicitly or implicitly. So we know that that is, I'm sure, something that is still active among certain groups of people where they feel like that people should not intermarry. That like I know that is, but it's not something that I have directly experienced myself. But I know that is something that still does exist. I know that racism does exist.
Of course it is. I see it all the time. I see people bait people with it all the time. Yeah.
But I think it's also there that it doesn't matter what race you are, you can be racist against another race.
Sure.
And that's something, but really, is there a race?
Ironically, the one who wants to discriminate doesn't discriminate because it doesn't matter, right? Because racism doesn't care. It's racism. I'll hate all you motherfuckers, and that's it. I don't give a fuck. Hate you all equally. And I'm open-minded.
Then they say we don't really have a race, like we are just humans. So is there anything to discriminate against?
I do have one question because I see this comment from Little. It says, "My family became biracial a generation before I was born. I'm Slav, but half my relatives are Black. I grew up passing food around the table and opening Christmas presents together. It can be real." Now, I have a question towards that because I understand that certain white groups don't consider other white groups as white. And when you look at, like, say, Slavic people, do they look at themselves as, like, a higher form of white? Like, is there a better hierarchy of white where it's like you have the Irish that are viewed very, very low on the totem pole, and like Slavic and or Germanic that look at each other that are
Wherever you just went, it's breaking you up. Oh, there you are.
Sorry. So yeah, I was asking like if there's like people like the Irish that are viewed lower in the totem pole, and or people that are Slavic and Germanic viewed as like higher on the. Do they like look at them like?
It's fine. I'm not sure. Does your family treat certain members of your family differently? See, my experience growing up, we didn't really talk a lot about like race.
I don't know. I just know that like I would go sometimes to like Little Italy, and you see, there we go. Because I know that we would go to places like Little Italy, and then you'd have like the white Italians, and they'd be like, "Oh, them Sicilians are nothing but niggers and this and that." They'd say like crazy like that. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I think
aren't you guys the same shit?
I think it's basically whoever you live next to. If you got a beef with them, then they're, you know what I mean? That's how that shit starts. Like basically there was a beef in the neighborhood, and who used to be friends would used to be friends, and now they're fucking dirt, and this one's cool and shit. Like that's where the division comes from all the time. Like everybody does that. And in some places it doesn't get brought down on racial lines, but when different colored people live together, it almost always does. So I think it's just the way men are, you know, we fucking beef, and that's what happens. You know, you have these divisions, and then people are hateful and evil and get momentum behind that hate and get more and more people to think the same distorted fucking view. And stay in the echo chamber with them, so they think that's real and that's validated, and that's how the racism spreads, and that's how it manifests. You know what I mean? That's how you make it stronger, is the groups of people that are all hating together. You know what I mean? Making more people hate.
It's taught also.
Yeah, well, it's absolutely taught.
Racism is taught.
Yes.
It's not. It is not a behavior that you're born with. It's something that you're taught. So if your family behaves that certain way and is and perpetuating this same passed down hatred, then I think it's more likely that you're going to pass down that hatred, because that's how you were taught, unless you break that cycle.
Right. And you can absolutely break that cycle, but that is fundamentally how the hate gets handed down, is because the little kids are taught to hate, and then there's divide there, and it just lasts through life. You know what I mean? Each generation gets taught this fucking twisted fucking view on things. That's the view that they adapt. And more times than not, a lot of people, do evolve past it and realize, the folly of it and stuff. And I guess that's what you can hope for, is by talking about it, is more people will wake up and be like, what? Really? Do I really act like that? What the fuck? And question what it is to be fucking racist. You know what I mean?
And being able, and people need to have more of an understanding to listen to what each other are saying. If someone's coming to you and saying, hey, this is really bothersome that you're doing, at least try to have the open mind enough about it to think about it and to examine what they're saying to you. If someone's like, whoa, man, that's really super racist that you're, saying that, that might not be your intention, but that's how that came across, then that matters. And what about, calling people out on it? If we don't call people out on it, and you just accept that people are that way, and you don't make, what I mean? If they're making you uncomfortable by saying something that's racist, and you don't stand up and say, hey, like, okay, that's not okay, or that's a racist comment. If no one's calling that person out, then they think it's acceptable.
Yeah. And you could definitely get punched in the face for it, but I think it's worth it. More people should be less racist, in my eyes.
Well, like we were saying, some people don't know.
So is racism viewed like blurring the lines of classism? Like, is it viewed like, oh, you can be racist towards the lower class white people if you're upper class white people? You look at hillbillies and they're like, oh, disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely.
They do it all the way. Yeah.
That's why it's built the way it is. That's what I was saying, from top to bottom. You know what I mean? It's a class and race go together so hand in hand and so perfectly suited to be abused in that way, you know, top to bottom.
Well, and I think that's why
always
there'll be people, you know, I mean, the only term that I know to use is person of color, because that's what's politically correct, you know, like conversation right now. So people that are up on the hierarchy of financial, you know what I mean, they'll say, oh no, it doesn't exist, you know, like you've seen Candace Owens say, yeah, racism doesn't exist, like in that same blah 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 way, but because she's at a higher totem. It's not
class.
Higher totem. She's in a higher class of people, so she's not experiencing the same level of racism as somebody that's of a lower economic class.
Exactly.
That's like Lil Wayne coming out. That's like Lil Wayne coming out and saying that he's never experienced racism. Racism's not real to him.
Right.
But
because the money
it's also
that.
It's also funny to me that the politically correct way to say it would be to say colored people, because black's the absence of all colors, so technically white people are the colored people.
Yeah,
I know.
Everything is so ironic, right? The irony that's throughout the whole discussion. That idea of classism and racism being different, very, very little is different. It's always fucking economic, and that's what it is, man. The lower you are on that economic totem, the more of real gritty life you're gonna have to experience with other people who are struggling just as hard as you. You know what I mean? If you don't have that struggle every day to make you do stuff, you're not going to do shit. You're going to think everything is fucking candy canes and rainbows all day, right? You're oblivious in your little fucking democratic fucking bubble, you know, like worshiping Adam Schiff or something. I don't understand these people, man. Like how it gets from like where I'm standing to be that disassociated from what's really going on in the world and have this whole like weird narrative thing around your like persona. You know what I mean? Like, does Adam Schiff really realize what a fucking flaked out fucking obsessive compulsive Russiagating fucking freak he is?
Yeah,
or is it just a game? You know, I'm just saying that whole thing. It's like that classism I'm trying to demonstrate. You know,
I'll like you guys. I'll come on all the time, but we're not going to talk down Mama Bear and her team, okay?
You know what it was? It was my privilege. Though. It was my privilege kicking in again.
Yeah, that was your privilege kicking in.
Sorry about that.
It is a game to them, though, because if you look at it like with the jab and the mRNA vaccine.
Yeah, be careful what you're saying there.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not talking about like the actual jab, but I'm saying like Operation Warp Speed came out under Trump. And when that was happening, you had the Democrats like Kamala Harris and everybody coming out saying, I'm not going to take that vaccine. And now that it's flipped and Biden's taken over, everybody switched sides, where the Republicans are the ones now saying they're not taking the jab. Well, the Republicans and the people that are in the anti-establishment left, but we're not talking about them for right now. Where it's like the Republicans are the ones that are hesitant towards the vaccine, and now the Democrats are pro-vaccine, but that's not how it started. It's all a game to them. They just, one side flips and they see where they're at, then the next side has to take the opposite end of the discussion. And it's not because they feel a certain way. It's because that's how they can continue to split the rich class between the poor and the working class. I understand.
fundamental. They have to. They have to do that. That's like
I
that's
I understand
absolutely-
that they have. I understand that they have the smaller, regular average Joe people that'll advocate for whatever they're saying, but for the most part, they're just following what they hear of their favorite show host or
yeah.
their favorite team. It's not really based around actuality. And I was posting up a video of a former CIA a person that was sitting down and explaining how they used to write up fake pieces, put them log them into a famous journalist site like uh, Al Jazeera or Reuters or something like that.
Mhm.
And then they will pull the story and send them to journalists. Now, the people higher up wouldn't know that. The people higher up within the media site wouldn't know that, but the certain journalists they're sending are already hip to what the misinformation propaganda is going to be. So then they'll put it out there, and then that comes out as fact. Where,
Yeah.
in reality, it was just propaganda created by the CIA. But now they have news, reputable news sites backing that fact, and they use that to try and split the class.
They absolutely are effective at doing that, even with the racial things. Think about when Clinton was president. You know what I mean? They made it so like every single night on the nightly news there was a black man with a gun. You had to be scared. There was like that's what they were saying, and that's when all these people went to jail. Like unbelievable amounts of people, more than any other time in history. Like, and it's just been increasing ever since. You know what I mean? That's again, that theater thing that happens in Congress and in our government is actually driving like these huge profit driven machines like private prisons and like the weapons manufacturers, and they do it by manipulating people's fucking core beliefs. Like if somebody is, there's a certain group of people, they're going to cater to them or they're going to fucking slam them. Either way, you know what I mean? That's how they divide that racial line and the class line, economically and racially every single time.
Well, and
And
here
it's so
right here
ingrained.
in this article, it says extreme pride in one's country or race. Patriotism can be laughable, but when taken to extremes, the sentiment becomes the basis of all fascist regimes. And that's the next point right there on this article that we're going through.
Yep.
I mean, like it shows, it always it's the basis of all fascist regimes. All the patriotism, all of the the pride for the country, like.
And it's
That's
all
why.
ingrained. It's all ingrained. Like you can ask people from, let's say, like Donald Trump's side, where he'll sit there and say, "Oh, I'm not racist," but then he
Right.
can say things like of the Central Park Five, where it's like, "Oh, well, they were out at night. They must have done something."
Yeah.
Lock them up
Exactly.
anyway.
And then it goes into the next part. It says association. It's common for races to associate with other races. While not necessarily espousing racist opinions themselves, it is common for them to personally defend other races without directly defending their opinions. It definitely happens, and like I think it's that whole like birds of a feather flock together type of thing, and I don't think that they always realize how racist the comments are that they're doing, but because they have like a common thread of a common a common theme or whatever, they end up congregating together.
Unfortunately, reality.
What was that?
But unfortunately, that's the reality.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how much lack of reality there is surrounding most topics that you talk about today? like most of the things that are going on, there's so many abstract things to be angry about that, you know, at least on the left, that they keep throwing up stuff in the air like, oh, you have to be mad because this, and they're playing on that same thing with the you know, sex with gender as they are with race. Like, it's the same fucking thing, you know. It doesn't stop.
It's all divisive in the same way.
Yep.
And you know, for the most part, if you boil it down and you actually look at like the actual biology and the science of things, it's like none of this even, it's not even they're not real things that people are so concerned with, but because of the lack of education on them. I think that's what racism is a lack of education. It's a lack of education of, like, you know, that's not even a real thing that you're so upset about. You're making something up and you're just perpetrating. You know, you're just going and doing the same thing that you're being used as a tool.
Yeah.
You're being used as a tool. And it's something that, like, is so off topic. Like, that's one of those hot topics that, like, you know, most people, especially I notice more towards the left, they don't want to talk about racism. Oh no, because people are afraid they're going to get canceled. They're afraid that, you know, like, all this is going to happen to them and people are going to come after them. And I'm like, I think if you're having a real honest conversation about it, then there's room for growth. If you say something that's fucked up, then you clarify it. You know, that's it. That's what it is to be authentic.
I mean, it's on all sides. The racism doesn't hold, like, it's there. They try to make it seem like all Republicans are racist, but they fail to look at, you know, the situations on their own side. Like, Biden. It's my belief that Biden hates black people, and I'll say that to the end of my days. That'll always come out of my lungs. And there's like, even California City Council with Neri Martinez, when her thing blew up about what she was saying about black people and everything. You know, it's ingrained on that side. You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
like you can't sit there and be like, oh, only one person, only one side of the aisle, because they're my enemy, they have to be this and that. And all they're doing, to me, like, what I truly believe, is they are beating down and sucking out meaning from words, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they use them for impact. They try to get as much as they can out of them.
Yeah, they're making trigger words.
Everything's a trigger word, and everything's a war. We're at war. We got to fight. We got to win. We got to fight. We got to war. That's what the fuck it is. Like,
it's a big distraction.
It's a mantra on the fucking MSM, man. And that gets into people's subconscious, like, big time. You know what I mean? Like, how else could they get away with giving away billions of dollars and have this little fucking cocaine sniffing weasel at the White House kissing people? What the fuck is going on? Dude, did you see that tweet where they put the fucking the yellow and blue on the American flag? It was like straight up the who was it? The ambassador from the UN guy from fucking Ukraine put an American flag with the fucking
blue and yellow Ukraine
instead of red, white, and blue.
And made the flag.
I was like,
the United States flag.
It's like, are we being attacked from within? What the fuck is going on? Are we going to be the United States of Ukraine? What's happening?
I know
here?
This is not Ukraine. This is not that. This is not what that is.
Did you see that they had the Thunderbolts written on the Ukrainian flag all the way towards the right hand side of what we're viewing?
Had the SS on the flag that they gave them in Congress.
Yeah. Because
we love Nazis.
Like, it's an inside joke.
Other people were sitting there and they were saying, obviously that's not an SS, that's a 44. And it's like, you look up. First off, we're talking about Ukraine, so look up what history do they have of putting up symbols. Is it more SS or 44? Because I can't find any 44 for Ukraine. I can't
How
find
do
anything that.
people do that? How do they twist their brains around and go, oh no, let me figure out this like really not even plausible thing. I'm gonna like just insert this here and make this the thing.
That clip of Max Blumenthal walking down the street talking to the crazy people. Like the lady's like, there are no Nazis in Ukraine. They all got phased into the real army. Like, so there's Nazis in the real army. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? These people are fucking mad, dude. They're out of their mind.
We can't reference a clip without like playing it and showing what.
Let's do it.
Well,
I don't have that clip. I don't have that.
You don't have it?
No, Steve is just
meat
referencing
butter.
something that
holy meat butter
is not
Catman.
to do with what.
If you look,
I'm.
I bet I could find it.
Well, right now.
Well, you're driving, sweetheart.
Well. So the belittlement of members of other races, the racists will consistently criticize the opinions of other races or even ridicule them. Often they will do it without explicitly making mention of the race or the person or persons. Yeah, but I noticed that a lot of people will they're calling people out by race constantly.
Oh, yes.
Constantly pulling people out by race. If somebody is bringing up your race, no matter what it is, constantly, then they might have an issue with racism themselves. Doesn't matter what race they're from. They might have an issue with racism if they're constantly bringing up your race, bringing up people's race all the time in conversation.
Let's see here.
Okay, so latent hate and exaggeration reaction or any misconduct from the person of other race, which the punishment is out of all proportion to the original wrong, real or perceived, and completely ignores the provocation which may have led to the original wrong. Also, not feeling a moral debt to a racially other person or any favors he may have done. And there's denial. Racist denies the other person or group's intelligence, cultural level, social status, or other merits, even in the face of overwhelming evidence that proves these qualities. The racist will attempt to objectively show proof, usually in the form of insignificant detail, to contradict the obvious. Oh, yeah. Look right here. This is what I was just talking about. Constant references to race. A mere mention of someone's race on a first encounter could be benign. But when these references continue over a long period of knowing that person, no matter how innocent the references may appear, they establish an unmistakable pattern. So if you're constantly like, say you meet me and you're like, yeah, and you constantly talking about, oh yeah, she's a white girl, constantly, then that's a constant reference to race, and it's showing a pattern. It's established pattern if you keep doing it.
Oh, I thought it was like saying like if we just met and we're hanging out and I'm like, hey, so are you Polish?
No. I mean, like over if you continue over a long period of time.
Yeah.
That you keep like saying, oh yeah, my black friend or my Hispanic friend or the white girl, whatever it is, over and over and over a long period of time.
I just sent that to you.
Okay.
I do say that to my girl though a lot. I'll be like, yeah, but you're a white girl. But I say that like to piss her off. I do it on purpose. I don't do that like regularly to everyone that I see. I just do it to my girl because I know it bothers her.
Well, yeah, that's your own inside thing.
Keep your racism at home, buddy.
Yeah.
To keep the racism inside the house, right? That's what my grandfather taught me.
Hey, listen. People with privilege don't get to speak on this matter.
Oh, I forgot. Son of a bitch.
Oh shit!
Do you want to read some of these, Steve?
Sure. What do you want me to read here?
Well,
Which thing?
the one that's highlighted?
The one that's highlighted?
Yes.
All right. Let's see.
A lot. It's a lot to read.
Wow. I can't really. So let's see.
You
Antagonistic
gotta get
sentiment.
your Walgreens on, glasses on.
Yeah, I can't with the glasses. It didn't work. Antagonistic sentiments when a person has antagonistic acts has antagonistic. That's not correct syntax. When a person has antagonistic tendencies towards someone at first sight, it is often related to skin color. The only information that one normally has about someone on seeing them for the first time is their skin color. So, invincibility and indifference to the plight of members of society. So, like most of the people in Washington, D.C., who are other races and when they suffer injustices. It is typical of the racist to claim that he is or she is under no obligation to help, or that the situation in question is somehow an inevitable byproduct of some greater good, when the great majority of members of the disadvantaged group are not of his race, or pattern emerges. Okay. Presumption of racism in member of own race. Ooh, that sounds icky. Racists typically expect members of their own race to be similarly
Not
racist.
going anywhere.
Now, just be similarly racist, all right, would you, for a second? This often results in expectations of preferential treatment, and they expect, for example, members of their race to see the humor in racist jokes or join in with them, but for the race of the victim would be seen as morally reprehensible behavior.
See, I'm the one that's like in conversations and people, if somebody said something racist, I'm like, that's not funny.
A little bell goes off and she makes a mean face. People
I call
all
people out
uncomfortable.
on it. Like, I don't just like let it pass. I don't. I'm like, dude, that's not cool. Or what the fuck? You know, like I say something, I don't let it just like slide. And I feel like that's what we need to do. If you notice that somebody is saying something, even if they're saying it in a joking manner, if it's something that's fucking racist, then you might want to call it out.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on setting for me. You know,
Yeah, but
if I'm in a biker bar, I'm probably not going to call out the dude.
yeah, but in other people's defense, though, looking at your timeline, it seems like you're into story.
Oh my god. So Applejack is referring to somebody who like looked at my like judged my Twitter timeline and was like, yeah, like you're not into the truth or some shit like that.
Because that's how you gauge moral character in 2023 coming up. It's really efficient. You just go look at their timeline, you read back about 6 months, you know, just kind of skim it.
How long did they go back?
Well, about 6 months. That way you can really kind of gauge the person, get a really deep
meaning.
meaning.
You know how long it would take to read 6 months
didn't really
timeline?
They didn't really look that hot either, because when I went on their timeline, because if you go a little bit further down, you can see that you're having arguments from sort of both sides of the aisle, but on the workers' side and not on the rich people's side. Whereas if you look on his timeline, like literally everything you go down is pro-Democrat, anti-Republican. Like he literally has a bias. Democrats can do no wrong. So that's why I hit him back with, looking at your timeline, it seems like you're into propaganda, because that's all he was spewing.
Yep. But yeah, so all you people who are busy, you know, you got a busy life, tough schedule. That's all you got to do now. You just, with Elon's new plan, you can just $8 a month. You can do background checks on everybody you ever met and never will meet, and be really inaccurate about their character and your judgment of them.
So,
Well,
Jason,
Elon,
I'm curious.
Elon rolled that back, though.
He might jack up the price. I don't know.
Jason, I would like to know what you think is annoying about the race issue.
What is annoying about it?
There's a lot that annoys me about it.
God is stopping him from speaking.
Yeah, we're not speaking against you. We all kind of agree with you. It is annoying. We just want to know your view on it.
Mm-hmm.
What happened,
I
Pista?
got a weird notification that said my hubby's computer is using FaceTime, but the computer's off. Weird. Yeah. You definitely want to unplug and reboot the machine. Disconnect from the Wi-Fi, change your password, and maybe just leave it off for a few days. See what happens. If the feds don't come kick in the door, you're fine. That's how I've always dealt with, like, oh, the cops know you're growing weed, Steve. Yeah, whatever. Kick in the door.
No.
Damn.
Okay, that's okay. We
No.
gotta get back on to what we're talking about.
Right. We're talking about racism.
Well, growing weed has a lot to do with racism.
There's a
if
lot
you're
of
not-
a lot of racism involved there as well. Yep. Don't take it from me and my white privilege either. 'Cause-
Yeah, you guys got to excuse Stever and his privilege.
What about acceptance of race behavior or conduct? To view mildly racist acts are either reasonable or at least not racist, and I feel that more severely racist acts are wrong but understandable. What does that mean?
That means acceptance of racist behavior or conduct means you're okay with your friend, calling everybody the N-word that he, saw at the gas station, and they were all nuns, white nuns from the church. You know what I mean? Like you've accepted. You're like, you're fine. It's fine.
Oh,
I
yeah,
understand why you do that.
This could go back
it's
to
like your friends. It's like the friends, like you'll hang out, you'll know somebody's completely racist and they're wrong, and you want to call them out, and then you see their friends who don't act like he does, but they still accept him as the way he is instead of correcting. You know what I mean? That would be like, oh, well, you're hanging out with a racist, and their excuse would be, oh, well, that's not my view. That's just how they am. You're accepting them to be that way instead of trying to make them better.
So yeah, that begs the question, right? Now, say you have somebody, are you friends with somebody who behaves in that way? Like how much do you tolerate that? Do you try to then push back on it and educate them? And if they don't change, how much time do you invest into that person? And do you keep them around as a friend with a friendship if they are behaving that way? If you know that they're a racist person, what do you do? Because everybody's had like that story about, my grandfather was racist or my family member was racist. You can't pick your family, but you can pick who you hang out with. So
yeah, I have to be consistent with that. Because I do look at the way I grew up, and there's a lot of racism within us. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate from some of my black homies, but I don't subscribe to the idea that, like, say, lesser ethnicities, like say Hispanic or Black, can't be racist because they're not the ones in power. Because I feel like racism's a feeling. So, like, it doesn't matter whether if you have power to do something or not. It's the way you feel. If you feel a certain way that you hate a certain person just because of who they are, what their background is, instead of how they act or the actual person that they are, I feel like you can still hold that type of feeling. You're still a racist, but at the same time, I forgot my original point that I was making, but basically it's that I have to be consistent. I do notice that within the crew of people that I hang out with, racism is baked into the way we hang out. And racism based, and a problem with that is sometimes I do let a lot of that slide. But I feel like when I'm able to recognize it, it's my duty. It's within my power that I have to call it out. because
Yeah.
then I can't be sitting around blaming like Ukrainians for hating black people for the way that they treat Africans over there.
Right.
I can't sit there and be like, oh well, yeah, not all of them are Nazis, but they let Nazis be Nazis around them and they don't call them out, and then I'm turning around and not calling the people I hang out with them. You know what I mean?
So you need to have consistency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Consistency is good. Absolutely. And again,
I think that's really, wait, I just want to like acknowledge really quick
Uh-huh.
that Applejack just pointed out one of his own things that he realizes with himself. That means you're growing. It means that you care about like growth and acknowledging your own issues and what you do too, and holding your own self accountable too. I think that's a big deal. I think it's a big deal that a lot of people don't do. A lot of people don't hold themselves accountable. They want to hold other people accountable, but they ignore their own shit.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's
well, my whole thing is, you guys know I grew up different, but my whole thing is that I believe that if I'm going to hold certain people to a certain standard, especially now when I'm like recognizing myself as an amateur journalist, I got to also hold myself to that standard,
Yeah,
absolutely. That is key right there, is being authentic to it. And even though, like I said before, when situations like that happen in real life and you are talking to friends and confronting people about shit like that, you might get into a fucking brawl. But at the end of it, I think it's a growing experience, and growth hurts sometimes, and it's worth the risk. It's worth the fucking effort, because if you love someone, you're going to do that for them, and you're going to help them be a better fucking human.
yeah. I think this isn't always an easy conversation, but it's one that's really important to have.
Yeah, no, it's not easy at all. But, certain things like this chat is freaking off the hook really good.
Yeah.
I'm listening because I'm on StreamYard. I'm not on YouTube, so I can't see what everybody's saying unless you guys put it up on here. Like I could see what Jilly Love is saying.
Yeah. Reality is subjective. That's true. And like I was saying about the setting of situational stuff like that, you know what I mean? You learn how to do it. And sometimes things do slide by that you fucking wish you would have changed. And the next time you do, you act on that because that's the right thing to do. I don't think it's misplaced at all or bad advice to try to get people to talk and fucking work through their nonsense. Most of the time it's just some learned stupidity.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
if you were taught these things, then you need to be able to be given the opportunity
You need tools
to learn the truth about it too. Just like all these other things that are ingrained into our brains, right? All this indoctrination that we have, this is indoctrinated into us too.
Yep.
So I feel like we need to give at least enough where we can hopefully people that if we come across somebody that is behaving this way, that at least we can use our positive influence and knowledge and to open their mind so that they can learn and understand a little bit more, and maybe not do some things that, you know what I mean, like reduce the amount of things people I think can change, but they have to be given the information to change.
I think saying reality is subjective isn't lazy at all, because subjectiveness allows you to be a part of every possibility of things. So it's you're only limited by your own fucking sense of awareness. So you have the possibility to be as aware as possible, and ultimately that's what I want to be. So catch me spacing out. It's not because I wasn't part of your reality. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
APO. So, and then also another part of this that this recognizes here in this article I thought was good. Failure to recognize the impact of racism on the victim. To believe that a victim of racism can be unaltered by racism. For example, when racists examine apparent differences between members of different races or ethnic groups, they completely ignore all differences in circumstances and history which could have affected the inferior race. Yeah, we need to acknowledge that this racism it's happening, it's happened, it's been integrated into this society, but we need to stop it in its tracks. We need to change it. And the only way we're going to do that is by calling it out, speaking on it, and educating people on it, and stop being afraid to talk about it.
Yeah, that is one of the limits, but the fact is that you can overcome that. Your inability is guided by the tools that you learn to use, and then you can be more aware. I don't think we're limited at all. I think we can only see as far as we can see, and then we can learn to see farther, and then that's the way it goes.
You have to give it the opportunity
indefinitely. I don't think it stops. I don't think there's a ceiling. I think you have the ability to evolve indefinitely in your mind.
Oh,
your
obviously, but I'm saying that, like, how long do we keep people around that we know are inherently, if they are racist people, how long do we give them a chance and keep them around?
It depends on how much you love that person and how mutually beneficial that relationship is. That's what dictates.
Well, I'm saying this because there was a whole conversation that Applejack had previously on Twitter that kind of like sparked, the fact that we need to bring this up and we need to talk about this, because you were having a discussion with somebody about, I'm not in there. I can't.
I'm sorry. That was funny.
Okay. You were having a discussion with somebody about whether or not you could be friends with a racist, and whether or not you could be friends with, or you could have family around that's racist. So that's where I'm kind of like, I'm asking about this because, how long do you give them? I mean, I guess it's probably all case by case individual assessment, right? But how do we handle that in the meantime? The people that do behave that way.
See, the way I view it, obviously it's case by case, and you can have, like, say, friends that you grew up with that share those type of feelings, and maybe you'd never noticed it before. But at the end of the day, if you're a friend, you would educate them. And if they refuse to be educated, then maybe that's not the type of person you want to have around yourself. That's what the people you keep around yourself is what influences you in your life. And from my experiences, I know how I was influenced before and the stupid things I've done. So I wouldn't want to allow myself to continue to be influenced with that type of material, so that I stay away from that type of stupidity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like if you keep people that want to be like that, like, there's certain people that they act like that to try and be funny around their friends. Those people, I'm pretty sure they could, at some point in time, you'd be able to explain, hey, listen, this bothers me, and it bothers me for this type of way, and it makes you seem this type of way,
Yeah, and if you can't talk to somebody like that, then how much of a friend do you really have?
Exactly. Like, it comes to a point where, are you just having them around you, because they bring something, like, they open different type of doors for you. You see different type of people with them, but they're racist. You don't want to actually connect with that person at a personal level. You just want to have what they have, you know, or live the type of life that they live. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous thinking, I think, you know?
Yeah. You got to want your own life. It's just crazy adoptive, but people have that compulsion anyway in weird ways, you know, like really extreme obsessions about things. And I think you run into it. Doesn't, and I don't think it depends on the color of your skin. That works across all.
I'm not saying like to have only people around me that agree with what I agree with.
Right.
I just think when their ideas are more ingrained into something more, not on the side of logical, you know, progression on a different ideology, but I'm saying like on the side of this is ingrained into you to be this level of offensive just because of the way the person, just because who the person is, just because of what color their skin is, you know?
Right.
Or even worse, like people thinking of Nazis. Yeah. If you're going to have a Nazi around you, understand that that's what's going to influence your life and in some way they're going to rub off on you.
Right. It's teaching you intolerance. I mean, that's the thing that needs to be avoided. Like being intolerant of other people is like fundamental, you know what I mean? And that's what racism does, is teaches you to be intolerant. And that's fucked up. You know, that's why it's fucked up. That's what is fucked up about it. And you know what I mean? That just the idea of that is just so stupid. And so like there is no binary fucking switch of right or wrong, which is the right race, which is the wrong race. Shut the fuck up. You know, we're human. We're human race, you know, like it's simple.
You don't have to like me. I'm not saying that everybody has to be friends in life. Exactly. I'm just saying, like, you got to recognize the reason for your hatred. If it's because of the way I talk or the things that I say, then I feel like that's more understandable than if you're just hating me because I was born me.
Right.
Yeah. It's certainly. Like you don't get to like, it's not like, oh, you know, choose your own race when you're born. You know, it's not a thing. You're born as a human.
Yeah. That would be cool if you came out like of a vending machine and you could just be like rainbows and whatever. I would do that because I would like to be as colorful as possible, really.
Oh my gosh. All right, let me finish this last little bit, this article. Maintaining superior position by all means possible, a phrase often remembered as a precept of the maintenance of slavery in the southern United States during the 19th century. A racist will use
all means possible
to preserve the inferior position of the victimized race. Even a person with social motivations and benevolent to members of his own race is capable of violence and other forms of crime towards members of what he views as the inferior race. He could easily support the use of force to maintain those disadvantaged by racism in their present condition. So I thought that was really interesting. I put the link in there for everybody to grab it.
Wow, that was written way back in the 20th century. So it's probably out of date by now, right? So, well, there's new definitions for everybody. Sorry, we went with the 20-year-old ones.
So I found
changed. I'm sorry, they've changed the definitions of everything. They keep doing that.
Yeah, like
just saying,
like the definition of definition of what forget.
Don't say the B word.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Yeah, don't say that. We do not. I've already gotten strikes
and
stuff on this channel, so we're not talking about that today.
Yeah, we're not talking
we're
about.
We're not talking about that aspect of it.
Right. Even though there's a ton of racism as well.
Yes, but we're not talking about that part of it today.
Okay.
Oh my God. So I have this other clip. This is why race is not based in genetics with Daniel Fairbanks. I thought this was really interesting because he talks about the genetics of it and why it's not based in genetics. And I thought it was really interesting what he had to say. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to mute us real quick so we can play this up.
My name is Dr. Daniel Fairbanks. I am the Dean of Science and a professor of biology at Utah Valley University in the United States. My specialty is genetics, and much of my research has focused on human genetic variation in people throughout the world. I've written a book called Everyone is African: How Science Explodes the Myth of Race. And the principal function of that book is to show that, in fact, race is much more of a social construct than it is a biological one. Ultimately, all humans originated in Africa, and then through a series of great diasporas spread throughout the earth. The genetic patterns display that or provide evidence of these diasporas. And as a consequence, there really is no such thing genetically as race. It's much more complex, much more interwoven, an interwoven genetic tapestry that we see among people throughout the earth. The outward genetic variation that we see that we usually associate with race, such as hair color, skin color, other features that we as people, because we are so attuned to making those distinctions, are in fact genetic. They are inherited, but the cause of them is really just a very small subset of the variation. Of course, its variations in DNA are associated with variations in things like skin color, hair color, and so forth. And because of what we know of history, we can look at somebody and say, this person is probably from India or Africa or Europe, or perhaps a better way to say it would be not to say that that individual is from that place, but their ancestry is. And we are attuned in a way that allows us to identify that. But we have to recognize what science tells us, that that is just a very small subset of all the variations that we have. And in fact, there are many outward variations that we see in people that we see worldwide. You know, just by looking at a person, at how tall an individual is, that's an inherited characteristic. It varies among people. And yet we never tend to associate that, at least in most cases, with a particular region. And in fact, let's take a look at Africa. Some of the tallest people in the world are the Maasai. Some of the shortest people in the world are from the pygmy populations. And yet elsewhere in the world, we see all of this variation in height. It's not something that we typically associate with it. Let's address the genetic tests that many people take now that seem to identify one's race. For instance, I took a test by one of the companies, and it stated that I am 100% European. And yet, if I look at my own ancestry, in at least one of my lines, I have 12 generations in North America. Does that make me North American native? Or do we go back to my ancestors who came from Europe, in fact, predominantly Great Britain and Holland, and then I identify my race, so-called race, as being European? Or do we go back farther in time, in which case my ancestors would have been Middle Eastern, or even farther, would have been African? And in fact, the title of the book is Everyone is African, because all humanity originated in Africa. And at least 85% of the genetic variation that we have comes from that time when all humans were in Africa. These genetics tests only sample a very small subset of the variation to attempt to identify one's ancestry. But even then, there are very few people who could be classified as being from one very small contained region, because humans are very mobile, always have been very mobile, and moving around the earth a lot. And as a consequence, most people's genetics backgrounds or ancestry is much more mixed. And so for that reason, it's better to think of ancestry, which is much more complex and I think beautiful, than it is to categorize people as belonging to a specific race. We truly are just a single human race that has that is all of one origin, and one origin that's in Africa.
Yeah, you know, that's certainly a position, right? To say everybody came from there, but I think ultimately the idea that we're all human is what he's fundamentally saying is correct.
Well, yeah, he's saying that
It's
it
spot
depends
on.
on how far back you go into your ancestry.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, we're all from the same gene pool.
And that's like hard to tell if it's fucking factual, because we don't know enough about the passage of time. We can't measure history as accurately as we think we can, you know, because they keep finding out things are fucking much older than we thought in the first place, and so on and so forth. So that's going to go back to the genealogy of man as well. I'd say it's much more likely if there used to be one continent that we all came from the same continent, but you know what I'm saying? Spread out the continents, and now you have man in different places on the planet.
Well, I think that, you know, like when he makes a point there, though, with our genetics, like how well are these tests? Like, how well are we believing these tests that they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because these tests are just another way for them to get our DNA. We've seen that. They're getting our DNA, they're getting our information, and then they're telling us what our genetic history is. And they're dividing us along more lines.
Yeah, that's why I never took them things.
I never did one of those DNA tests either. So I can't say exactly what is in my what's in my genes, in my history.
I think it's fair to say that everything that we think we know, we probably have inverted or have something askew. We may have the basic idea of things, you know what I mean? Even at this late stage in the fucking time frame here, it seems like everything that people find out, then if you go by like another 20 years, that information was bullshit and it's inaccurate by this degree. You know what I mean? They keep doing it with archaeology. Like over the last, if everybody's been paying attention to the last 50, 60 years, there's been like all of these discoveries and nobody can quite figure out when things are from, you know, like that's what I thought we had a thing called carbon dating, you know, like, the tech keeps changing, man. It's like, they're fucking with the time and stuff. It's messed up. I don't know. They're doing something. Leo, you have rubber ducks all over you.
Leo, come here.
I was just pointing out how Leo is different.
Say, I'm in my rubber ducky jammies.
You know what that is, Leo? That's your privilege showing.
Yeah, your privilege is showing.
Are you a privileged rubber ducky wearing?
You got your privileged dog wearing a pajamas. What are you doing?
Right?
Great, look at, they cover his little back legs.
Bougie. Well, they do have genetics down to some degree, because they've definitely been pumping out fucking weird things for a long time now. Like since I was a kid, they've been playing, you know, they've been pretty advanced on the genetic tip. And I think that shit's escalating really quickly, rapidly. Like you design your own baby and stuff coming up real soon. You gonna get one of the Lexus babies, bro? Them things are dope. Solar.
Hell no.
I'm just saying, right? You know, that's gonna be the next thing. He's gonna have brown hair. You know,
Nah, I'm actually
be like 8'4" when he's done growing. He's gonna rule the NBA.
Nah, I would I'm actually gonna trade in my Tesla and get a Volkswagen.
Nice. Oh, that I heard somebody was joining you on that. Who the hell did that? Oh, these Hollywood blue checks.
Yeah, Alyssa Milano or something.
Alyssa,
like that.
of course.
Oh, yeah.
She's the only one to realize
That was
the
funny
irony.
as hell, dude. Yeah, funny as hell, dude. Just points it out on her comments. I thought that was hilarious. I was dying.
So
I couldn't finish reading the tweet without laughing out loud.
Yeah. Every so often you get some beauties that come by and you're just like, no, you didn't just say that, did you? You fucking tool.
Yeah, it was funny. He said, so you're leaving Tesla to go get a car made by Nazis or something like that. It was fucking hilarious.
Good stuff.
well, when it comes to the
Irony is not
Nazis,
lost
it's-
on us. And when it comes to Nazis,
I know
It's
they're
kind of a complex issue because in the beginning, the way that the Nazis were able to get everybody's support and who they turned out to
like
be,
they are now.
it's not this. It wasn't who they started out as pretending to be,
yeah.
and then who they flipped to be.
Not the same.
It's very reflective in other parts of like what you can see. Leo, there's nothing over here for you.
I see a lot of that happening around the globe.
Yes.
But don't worry, I saw on that Max Blumenthal video earlier, there are no more Nazis in the Ukraine.
Oh my god.
Oh right,
There's
right.
fucking video.
It's on the clip there, on the
Where?
in my DM. Yeah, it's amazing how that happened. It's like, what about 2014?
I don't see where you put it, Steve.
Okay.
Time to get to work, Steve.
I thought I had it together. I thought I had it all together.
I found it here.
You found it?
You sent it to yourself.
That's what I said. I
No,
said
you
it's in my DM. That's what I said. That meant
Yeah, your DM.
mine.
Usually because his DM is on this, it's usually because he sent it to me, but it will show up that he sent it to me. So what he's saying right now doesn't make normal sense. So, all right. Let's show this clip for context.
For context.
Are you gonna? I'll mute us so that you guys can hear it without Steve making commentary.
Okay, fine.
Over it, because that's what he likes to do.
I love to do that.
It's really annoying sometimes when I'm trying to hear a video and he's like, and I'm like, oh my god,
That's exactly what I sound like too.
it is. All right, I got it. You ready? I'm gonna mute us.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Is 45 billion not enough?
Nope.
Not enough? How much more?
They really answer all the time, right?
So no answer about if Ukraine is a democracy. Why did Zelensky? Is 45 billion not enough?
Nope.
Not enough? How much more should we give to Ukraine instead of our own people? Do you support the Azov battalion?
Okay. There is no more of an Azov battalion.
There's no more
All
Azov?
the battalions were trained and recruited back into a formal professional army over the last 8 years.
So the neo-Nazis were brought into the army.
No, there are no neo-Nazis in
There's
the
none?
army.
Do you support Stepan Bandera?
Stepan died a long time ago.
War against innocent people.
I oppose the assault on Donetsk. Do you? The shelling of the people of Donetsk, do you oppose that?
You know,
No?
Are you kidding
Why are civilians being killed in Donetsk and Lugansk? Do you oppose that? Should the U.S. send $1 trillion of our taxpayer money to Ukraine? $1 trillion?
This is the least expensive
What about 2
method of
trillion?
ensuring democracy globally.
$1 trillion? Is there any limit?
There's no, it's not close to a trillion.
If Ukraine is a democracy, why did Zelensky ban all opposition media and 13 political parties? No, I'm not. I'm not paid by Moscow. Are you paid by the Ukrainian government that's banned all opposition media?
No, I'm American.
You don't believe there is a Ukrainian government kill list maintained by the Interior Ministry?
No.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
Just like the non-existent neo-Nazis.
Lies.
Lies.
Write email
Lies.
to the office of the
You're filled with lies.
Write them email. They really answer all the time. Write them email.
So no answer about if Ukraine is a democracy, why did Zelensky ban 13 opposition parties?
Martial law. Read the definition of martial law.
Sounds undemocratic. Why did he ban the Russian wing of the Orthodox Church?
The Russian
Such a lie.
Orthodox Church was serving as a treasonous organization and was found with materials that were illegal and financing the enemy.
So banning clergy, banning media, banning opposition. This is fighting for democracy.
You are serving Putin.
But you acknowledged it was all true. I'm serving Putin by stating facts.
You're not stating facts.
You just acknowledged that it was martial law and it was facts.
No, all I said is it's martial law. I didn't acknowledge it's a fact.
So he didn't ban the Russian wing of the Orthodox Church.
No, he hasn't. He's submitted legislation for certain purposes, and it hasn't passed.
Did not like Max fucking on their ass like that, walking them down.
So
the street.
yeah, I wanted to play that for context purposes because you guys referenced
Yeah, that's a lot of walking down the street. You know,
You heard her. You heard her. It's out of the horse's mouth. You got to believe it. There's no neo-Nazis.
well, there's no
if
neo-Nazis.
you deny racism, then it doesn't exist, right?
Well, if you say the Nazis were turned into a professional army
and
absorbed by the army, then there's no more Nazis, right? Of course, that makes perfect sense. It makes as much sense as the anything else. Safe and effective.
No, we're not getting into that conversation.
No, it's just it's like you have to say the thing that's the right thing. Saying the right thing is always the right thing. You got the right thing, baby. Remember that? Ray Charles back in the 90s. All right. I'm old. That's all I can say. Disappointed she went with Putin puppet. Yeah, that's that was excellent video though. I wish there was one of those like every day. I wish I could just like pop out on the corner just accost people as they walk down the street and ask them questions.
This is why we do not live in DC.
Oh man, I would be arrested for sure. I could see that.
They would be like, you need to leave. Sorry.
They're like, you're not fucking pasta. Don't call me Craig Jardula. You'd be like, lock him up. Look at that fucking beard. Jesus Christ, he's gonna get fucking. I don't know. Yeah, I would definitely do that though. That would be fun, even just to do it like what do you call it? Like guerrilla style one time. Just like kind of blow through there and do it. Get video. I don't know. I'm always thinking content. We need to make interesting content for our people. That's really what it's about.
Not getting arrested. Thanks.
Not getting arrested so much, absolutely. I'm a fan of not getting arrested as much as the next guy, Defund the Pentagon. I didn't say that. Somebody said it in chat, YouTube, okay?
Okay. So I wanted to show one more.
Check out Asylum Street Spankers. You definitely should because they rock. And Vicky, you have an awesome evening.
Okay. So this was in Britannica. And this was about racism as well. And racism is also called radicalism. The belief that humans may be divided into separate, exclusive biological entities called races. That there is a causal link between inherited physical traits and traits of personality, intellect, morality, and other cultural and behavioral features, and that some of these races are innately superior to others. The term also applies to political, economic, or legal institutions and systems that engage in or perpetrate discrimination on the basis of race or otherwise reinforce radical inequalities in wealth and income, education, healthcare, civil rights, and other areas. I mean, because it does, I mean, to me, it blends into everything. It goes throughout everywhere. All of it. The racism there's no limits to it. It is inherently in every system that we have. Everywhere. From the way that they will have lighter skinned models, the way that, you know, that more people will buy things if it's on a certain model, or like it's everywhere. So how do we get past this? How do we get past this and like weed out all the racist fucking bullshit that has no like no teeth in our society, that it really doesn't have, it's not based on anything that's factual.
Yeah. I think it's inherent, much like the way that enemies are developed, living in close quarters. You develop that, and people teaching it. If you can't stop it from being taught by generations, you won't ever stop it. I don't think it ever can be fully fucking eradicated because of that, because that's just how humans are. You know, creatures of habit.
I don't think anybody would be able to get rid of those ideologies.
No.
Those things are so ingrained into the human condition.
Yep. That too. And generationally, you know, I mean, that trauma over and over and over and over and over and over of these things and these injustices that have gone on for 500 fucking years, hardcore, you know, doesn't go away. You know, it's like scars, you know. Either make you stronger or kill you, you know. That's how it's going to work. I hope, you know, I hope there can be less of that stupidity. I hope more people see the folly in it, that it just abates the conversation. It's not affecting people as much. You know what I mean? Like right now, it just seems like that's such a divisive thing. Like, I don't know. I guess it always is. I guess it's always just there if you choose to look at it. If you don't choose to look at it, then you run the risk of being oblivious. And I think that's probably what most people are, is just disconnected from it. If they're not if they're not interacting with people like that in their life, even marginally so, some things are forgiven, like you said, you know. It's weird.
Gamer, I'm glad that you're starting to feel better, buddy.
Yeah, I feel better, bro.
You should check out the stream earlier. Skyla came on camera and ran a whole like stream for a couple hours.
Yep.
It was great. Leo, where do you think you're going? You gonna say hi to Gamer?
My dog would never be able to wear a full body pajamas or anything like that.
Why?
Big jammers.
They have him for his size.
It is big low.
Yeah, but he has fur, right? Like he actually has fur.
Yeah, I know. I was
Leo
just saying.
doesn't. Leo is very short haired. He would freeze outside without.
They make coats and things for him too.
Yeah, they make him to his size.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be putting clothes like that on him.
Well,
that's what I always thought.
He might not need the clothes as much as a little dog, though. That has very short fur and not a lot to him. He would freeze.
Yeah, it depends on the dog certainly and how it reacts.
Yeah. Well, I had a big pity bot rock.
Good night, Steve Wolfbrandt.
A pit boxer rot mix, and she wore t-shirts and stuff like that. Still,
I think you just like putting clothes on dogs.
whatever.
You like dressing up dogs. Look at Mike. He looks shocked by the information. He's like,
Leo will help put his outfit
she's right
on.
behind me, isn't she?
He puts his head in his clothes and he dresses himself.
Yeah, he does.
He will put his little arms through. Steve was like impressed.
He's a freak. I don't know, man. He's just like accustomed to wearing clothes. He puts his little paw out. Yeah, like fucking. All right, let's go.
He'll basically put it. He'll almost dress himself. He'll put his head through the hole and he'll put his two little front legs through. He'll lift them up one at a time for you.
Yeah,
he's used to it. But
he's been indoctrinated into the thought that dogs wear clothes and it's cool. And granted, he does look pretty fucking cool from time to time. So, I'm not gonna take away his hustle or anything.
yes, he likes seeing all the people at the store like look at him and go, "Oh, he's so cute." He does. He really likes it.
Jason Rodriguez, that is creepy because 13 is my number as well. So don't be fucking with my number, bro. It's my number.
Oh, what happened?
I know, he's like 13 moons. 13 keeps coming. Jilly said 13 moons. He said 13 is his number, and it constantly comes to me. And I'm like, I think of 13 all the time. My birthday is January 3rd, and, it's a 13 thing. It's recurring in my brain. Maybe it's just my own mania. I don't know. Fuck you, don't judge me.
Angela, I was surprised that Skyla not only went on screen, that she just completely was.
Yeah, she was like produced her own.
She took over.
I was like, just sit down and like, just because she was gonna sit in the others, the other chair that Steve's in.
Yeah.
And just like, but I was like, I was worried about her cake, making sure it was right. I'm like, we gotta start the show. Just let me just sit here for a minute. And she did. I didn't force her. She did it. So
I was trying to be funny,
great.
and she kept answering my questions.
Yeah.
She plays the straight guy really good.
Yeah, she taught me some things. I think we should have a fun Skyla stream. Everyone.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Jason's like, she's feminizing your dog, bro. Come on. Like,
but it's not her dog.
To be fair, it's her dog,
Yeah, it is my dog. It's actually my service dog. So he's not doing anything to my dog, to his dog. Like, this is my dog. I had my dog before I had Steve.
It's true. She did. She did. But he's my dog too now. He loves me. So.
Well, yeah, you're part of the family, of course. But I mean, he's my service dog.
He does weird stuff, though. He like nuzzles underneath my beard and fucking like gives little tiny dog hugs. Like he's a freak. I like him.
Yeah, gamer, you'll like it. You'll have to check out the Skyla's birthday stream because I think you'll like it.
Yeah, that was fun.
We were looking for you, you and Miguel. We'll have to have her come back so that you can meet her too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, he might be the man of the house. I don't know what that really means. We don't go by those kind of ideals in this household. Yeah, I don't know.
We go by who has the best tits in the house, which she wins each time, hands down. So,
yeah, man.
What are you gonna do?
His man boobs aren't the same.
It's a matriarchy here.
So, where was I with this?
Hi. She was thinking titties for a second. She was like, "What?" No.
I got distracted.
Jilly's like, "Oh my God, Steve." Well, there has to be some rule of law, We're not a bunch of savages,
Titties are the rule of law.
Yes, please.
Okay.
It's fair enough.
Oh,
Hey, I'll allow it.
Oh no, titties, my one weakness. Yeah.
Oh my god, I mean, it's crazy because if Lady Alex was here, she'd be yelling at us
Oh
for
yeah,
saying titties.
she would be. She would be. She would.
Steve, the other Steve is here, and we're talking about titties.
Well, see, he's got excellent taste.
Titties and racism.
Titties and racism, bro. Remember that Zappa album? Just kidding. It was titties and beer, but still.
Close enough.
I got to say titties again, didn't I? So thank you. Steve Harloa, how goes it, man? Aloha, brother. Yeah, well, we hope you're all better by Saturday, Gamer. Just stop being sick on Saturday, okay? Just stop it. Just quit it.
You could go back to being sick after.
Yeah, just stop it for Saturday, at least, because it's Saturday, for fuck's sake. You know, just don't be sick on Saturday.
Steve, what do you think of Leo's little outfit? I was talking to Steve.
Oh, you're talking
Carlola.
Oh, I see.
What do you think?
Steve was like, I'm pretty sure I've already made my feelings known, but I'll repeat it. Like, no, the other Steve.
Like, nah, I'm not gonna kick the Leo, and he's wearing rubber. I mean, if there's a more emasculating thing to do, I don't know.
Oh my god! You know what? The dog. He still has his balls.
Still has his balls. Yeah, show Popeye his balls one time, would you?
Nah.
Just kidding.
With that.
Chris Foster said what's really impressive is the fact that not only does Leo wear them, he knits them too.
He's an excellent seamstress for a Chihuahua mix, But he
says Pablo, his dog, is jealous.
Oh, yeah,
he can get some.
That's his Hawaiian brother, right? Leo's Hawaiian brother.
Yeah. Leo has a Hawaiian shirt.
Yes, he does.
He should get a matching shirt. Just saying.
Well. I think we should just go to Hawaii and hang out with Steve and Pablo.
I know, right? But it's I don't know how it will be going with a service dog to Hawaii, because in Hawaii I know that dogs going there have to go into quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because when my mom and stepdad moved there, like when I moved to Washington State to meet my dad, they moved to Hawaii, and they they said animals had to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. How does that work with a service animal?
I don't know. I don't know if there's some exception to that. I do not know. But if you had like a service.
Oh, his name is Bear.
Bear.
Oh, yeah. They said it.
Every time I say his name, he comes running up to me.
Good boy.
Oh,
that's a good bear.
Big old bear.
Bear. Oh, a sweet boy. Oh yeah, we should finish up this article.
And all right, we kind of side drifted from racism.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Sometimes you need a breath. You gotta.
So, racism is also called radicalism. The belief that humans may be divided into separate and exclusive biological entities called races. That there is a causal link between inherited physical traits and traits of personality, intellect, morality, and other cultural and behavioral features. And that some races are innately superior to others. The term is also applied to political, economic, or legal institutions and systems that engage in or perpetrate discrimination on the basis of race or otherwise reinforce the racial inequalities in wealth and income, education, healthcare, civil rights, and other areas, such as institutional, structural, or systemic racism, become a particular focus of scholarly investigation in the 1980s. with the emergence of critical race theory, an offshoot of the critical legal studies movement. Since the late 20th century, the notion of biological race has been recognized as a cultural invention entirely without scientific basis. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
So since the late 20th century, the notion of biological race has been recognized as a cultural invention.
But everybody swears up and down it's a real thing. That's
Then why are we checking off boxes saying what race we are if it's a cultural invention that has no scientific basis?
because we're a fucking bunch of robots that will follow directives. If a figure of authority gives it to us, we will follow that directive. 9 times out of fucking 10.
That is true.
How about the show we were watching last night?
So maybe what if we start
thing.
saying prefer not to say?
Yeah.
What if we just prefer not to continue?
I think that's why they gave you that.
This cultural invention without scientific basis.
I think that's why they give you that out on the official forms, you know, on your W-4 and your W-2, so that you can opt out of it and be like, I prefer not to tell you what gender or what fucking race I am because it's none of your fucking business. And they have to go, okay, none of our fucking business.
Honestly, it's not. It doesn't have scientific basis. We've shown that is at least somewhat of a consensus.
Yeah, I think we don't have to have conclusions on everything. I think some things are okay to not know. It's especially just there's no need for us to be telling everybody what fucking race you consider yourself. We're part of the human race. If there's a human box, I'll check that. You know, if it says other, I say no, human. You know, like there's no other one. There's no anti-human. How can you have anti-racism? I think the thing about racism is just a misnomer. You know, like people assume that something can be cured if you take a boop boop for it, right? And that name for the boop is seen as a thing. The thing for racism, it's like, yes, racism is actually just the idea that you agree that the human race exists.
It's a fabrication.
The basis of it is basically just saying that, yes, like it should be humanism instead of racism, because racism implies there are differences. It should be human, and then humanism. If you say something bad about another human, then you would call it humanism.
If it
right?
takes this much to explain something,
the syntax is fucked, and they co-opt words, man. That's what they do. Conspiracy theorists, you know.
They invented that word, and then they use that word against us and call us conspiracy theorists.
That's what they do. That's what it's for. That's exactly right. That's what the FBI just came out.
So they invented this racism.
They came out
and this divide.
They came out. The FBI came out with that tweet, and they basically told everybody exactly what they were thinking. That they were paying taxpayer money to Social Security. I mean, to social networks.
Medias.
Yeah.
Social medias, yeah. And it's like
they had people working.
They have the money for what they
medias.
Want to have the money for.
Yes, of course. And what they said was anybody saying that are conspiracy theorists. So like the thing that they were doing, they said, yeah, well, we're doing that, but you guys are conspiracy theorists if you think we're doing that. It's like, are you fucking?
The truth is a conspiracy theory.
The truth is a conspiracy theory at this point. If there's no actual objective truth to anything. It's all fucking can be broken down semantically to mean other things. You know, we could talk in circles for fucking decades. Look what they did in 1963 when now we fucking oh my God, it's a revelation what the FBI paper showed everybody. Oh, really? All the thing that everybody said from day one is true. And they waited, 60 some years to tell you.
What about, yeah, and that's another thing I wanted to ask about with you, because I know that you guys have both within the prison system, and we talked about before when you were on Apple Jack, we talked about how within the prison system everyone's based upon, like, everyone divides by race, which is really not a real thing, you know, but it's like, it's a weird way that they divide the people up, because you can be foreseen as fitting in with this group over here or this group over here, and it depends on your association otherwise. So that kind of shows the hypocrisy of the whole race thing.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows its own self, like that there's a hypocrisy happening with it. But now, within the system, the racial divides are even stronger, right? But then, how do people then transition to outside of that system, where they have, you know, the mob mentality in prison, right? And they have that race mentality. How do people transition then to the outside, where it's not supposed to be blatant and accepted?
Generally, pretty poorly. Actually, they kind of count on that, because
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't, like, even now I still struggle with it, where I would be more inclined to want to hang out around a black person, just because that's like ingrained into my system. Where it's like, I don't know exactly how to combat it. I just recognize it and use that awareness to try to guide my decision. But I think that for the most part, people just keep those things, those traits that they picked up in prison with them, and they use that within their life. And you see that when, before they go in, they hang out with certain people, then they go in, they come out, and they're like hanging out with a whole group of different people outside of their main network of their neighborhood, you know?
Yep.
And like, like if I who picked up reading more and started doing studying and research instead of continuing on with the street life, if I can recognize that I still struggle with it, I can only imagine people that don't even recognize they want to change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I can see it being like a constant evolutionary process that you have to be conscious of what your instincts are and stuff, and like how they apply to social situations, and like see things like clearly, you know. And it's really, really fucking hard to do with yourself. Like, generally having somebody else telling you, showing you, like having Lucky around has just changed my life in so many ways in that regard. Like, because I was just blissfully unaware, completely high all the time and not giving a fuck, you know? And then I realized a lot of things over the last few years of being sober, and having time to process all the, you know, the decade or so before that I was a fucking mess.
And me
and
actually,
what actually
calling
occurred.
him out and saying the fucking shit that nobody else was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, you know, the tough love thing is invaluable in that way, like for growth, you know what I mean? Having somebody help you do it is easier than trying to figure it out yourself and trying to be aware of the things that you're trying to be aware of. You're trying to change and maybe not be that quick to fucking judge. You know what I mean? Based on past experience, which is like fucking super hard because it goes against your instincts. You know what I mean? You came up a certain way and you have these instincts and these traits that you've built, you know? So not having the impulse to react, the impulse control is like my worst fucking enemy. You know what I mean? Having someone like say, hey, this is why this is happening is fucking tremendously helpful. And wicked hard to hear sometimes. And being able to do it yourself is fucking tremendous, dude.
Yeah, just being able to recognize that you're struggling and be able to actually just say it. Like, I'm struggling with this, and have that vulnerability. That's huge.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to like gravitate towards people and let them know, okay, you know, so you're struggling through it. Like, I'm here to talk about it. That's when we need to have more honest conversation about like how you're struggling, how you're feeling, because that's how you process and how you move forward and how you make better decisions, you know, and certain things will make you reflect on, you know, your past choices, and you're like, shit, you know, and you got to make a conscious choice from there. Like, how do you want to deal with this? How do you want to deal with, you know, and being able to talk it out is a huge deal. Having someone to be able to bounce that off of that you can trust is a huge deal.
Yeah, trust and trust is tremendous in so many ways, and having it and being able to be vulnerable and talk about things like openly and confront the shit that you've been doing, and you know what I mean, is like,
yeah, like none of us are perfect.
None of us are perfect, and we're all fucked
We've
up.
all made mistakes.
We've all done stupid.
We'll make mistakes.
We've done stupid things and made bad choices. And the fact is that we can make better choices. And you know, I don't know, the idea that I was like going through life just satisfied with the way things were, just go along, get along, perfectly happy. Didn't have to challenge myself very much, you know. It was like I was stuck, man. I was so stuck, and now I feel like, oh, I don't have to be fucked up all the time. I can actually be present in my own body and be okay with it.
And feel the uncomfortable
and be a fucking crying little bitch sometimes, and fucking, it's okay. It's all right. It's not gonna get any worse than that. And you know, I've been really super fucking blue and just, you know, sober as fuck and just inescapable, and had to deal with certain things that like I repressed for so long that it's like throwing lead out of the fucking basket of the hot air balloon. You know what I mean? You feel like it lifts you up. Gives you more confidence, you know? I'm like fucking prolifically banging out fucking songs on BandLab like a fucking maniac, you know? Like, okay, let's keep doing this and keep making stuff and keep doing what we're doing and doing it for other people, and fuck, let's go. I'm here for it.
We just have, I think what you're getting at is that, you know, the way that we get through it is supporting each other, honestly.
Yeah.
Having honest support and having a real support network, I think, is a huge deal. I think it's the only way that we can really self-evaluate in any way and recognize what we're going through. You know, because like you're saying, like when you're in jail, it's a completely different life, and so much of that is ingrained into you from the time that like your whole, you know, your upbringing, and then it's reinforced and reinforced. And then you want to change all of that, all of those feelings, all of the things that you felt your whole entire life. You're challenging that in yourself. That's a huge step.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Like even to acknowledge that, hey, maybe, you know, how I was feeling about things like growing up, or this pattern that I was in, and it was reinforced in me, you know, recognizing that, you know, like there was some harm in that, and that you want to break the cycle. And now see, when you break the cycle, you're breaking that cycle for your son too. And you're breaking that cycle for the future generations.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You're really doing something that deserves that pat on the back, that appreciation, and that extra love and that support. You know, like when you're making a big change and you're taking the actions and you're taking accountability for what you're doing, that's huge.
Yeah, accountability is like the biggest
That is fucking.
I look at it as you gotta keep going, moving forward. You know.
Yeah, and you know there'll be times I'm sure that the old thoughts and the old stuff will like it will fall back in, and then you'll go, wait a minute, that's not that's not the direction I'm going. I know that's not true, but those things, they might come back and they might cycle through, and they might come through your head and your thought process while you're making these changes, and that's normal. I think that that's normal, but it's acknowledging it and going, okay, yeah, I hear those old tapes playing. I hear the old shit playing in my head. I'm getting caught up in that old, no, that's not where I'm at. You know what I mean? And just doing a reevaluation of yourself. And I think that holding yourself accountable is one of the, the biggest things that you can do for yourself.
I don't know. I think you give me more credit than I deserve.
Well,
no, I don't think so.
That's all right.
I've seen a big, so in the time that we've known each other, you've become closer in this family more recently, but we've known each other in this space for a little while.
Yeah, for a while.
I've seen an evolution with you from when we first cross paths and everything like that, to now. I've seen a change and an evolution that's changing within you, and I see that, and no one else is making that happen. You're making that happen. You're on a different path.
Yep.
You're on you're gaining so much knowledge and truth, and I can see it.
Hell yeah. And you spit fire on Twitter all fucking day at these fools.
I can hardly keep up with all your tweets.
Yeah. It's a lot, bro. You're putting in work. It's like gamers, I was for fucking lockdowns and mandates and shit, and then I learned. And it's yeah, you can evolve in a fucking moment. You know what I mean? I've watched people go, really? And then look up the thing and be like, you know what? You're fucking right. That's crazy. What the fuck? And
light bulb moments are happening.
Yeah, man. And that's the kind of light that we need, is just everybody turning on like that, awareness is the drug that we need to sell people. There was a way to do awareness on a grand scale. Instant awareness. Everybody tunes into this one frequency of this one moment, and bing, now you have all the fucking, all the database of everything at your fingertips. That would be, I don't know. It's sharing information is getting so fast that something like that idea is fully possible and kind of realized, you know what I mean? Except for it's just as slow as real time. We need it faster.
We need to give ourselves credit when we are doing the work, though, too.
Yes.
We need to, that's part of it.
We're not yanking your chain, dude. So, it's Lucky sounds all mushy mom-like and stuff. And that's just because she's her. And that's the way she is. And, but she's a mean mom, too, if you fucking do stupid shit. So, don't get it fucked up.
I'm gonna give you the positive praise when I feel like that's what you need, and if I feel like you're fucking up, I'm gonna say I feel like you're fucking up.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna be honest with you, no matter what it is. I'm just
people can find that pretentious, and people can find that oh well, you don't know your place, and blah blah blah, and yeah, fuck you and all your fucking rules. It's
I'm just
take her or leave her. You either love her or you don't. That's it. 2 ways to go.
I'm not for everybody. That's okay.
Yep.
I'm okay with that. Whatever. But at the same time, though, I feel like we need to give each other the credit when we do see that happening. I don't think that's always happening.
Yeah, I don't see people.
No, it's like
You don't see public displays of affection very often, or fucking kind of people like appreciating other people, even, you know what I mean? You could say it, and that's like tremendously kind to hear, it's, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not yanking your leg on it.
I'm not trying to.
If I feel like you're like if you're going backwards, I'm gonna be like, hey dude, what the fuck is going on? Like, yeah. I'm gonna say that, but I do. I was saying to Steve this the other day, I was like, I've seen this like evolution in you. I've seen you evolve and change, and your perspective, and you're more focused now on what you're talking about, and like and you're becoming more and more educated on more and more topics.
Yeah,
and you can see that.
I think that's the thing that's cool about like evolution like that. Chances are we'll be arguing about something before too fucking long, just because we don't live in an echo chamber, and we ain't gonna agree on everything, but like I fucking love that, being able to have an honest discourse with somebody that you respect and fucking care about, is fucking means a lot.
Yeah, like, am I being an asshole right now?
Yeah.
Tell me. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Gotta be honest.
It matters. We need to do. I think that's one of the best things that we can do for each other is holding each other to account.
Jason says public displays of affection are degenerate.
Oh my God, Jason, you have all kinds of opinions about this.
I think
what I
me
need
and
to
Jason
get better at is like getting better in front of the camera, because I'm more of a behind the computer, show you what I found type of guy.
Right. Facts, fact-based, source-based information is the best. Like, I love that. People like Whitney Webb like blow your mind with it. Like, what the fuck, dude? Just like, you know what I mean? Like, one article she writes has 75 fucking sourced fucking links, and you're like, what? How did you make sense of all of that documentation? Like, and understand the narrative. And
our brain works like a computer.
Like, wow, it's really complex.
So Jason's really upset because there's no pictures of the two of us on my Twitter. I don't take pictures of us.
Man, why is that? There should be one. You should take the one that's on there right there.
What?
Put it on.
What are you talking about? What one?
There's a one. There's I don't know. There's one in the picture.
I don't know. We see each other like every day, so like I don't know.
She'd rather take pictures of birds and cats and stuff. Since that's
we're on the camera all the time. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not like it's not the same as when we were out all the time, like at different bars and stuff when you were playing out and things like that.
Jason's like, she's resistant, bro.
Oh my God, there is so many pictures of us together.
Quite a few.
Yes, I agree, Gamer. He is a good dude.
Gamer's my boy.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's feeling sick.
Jason, this is not true. Jason, this is not true. Men are supposed to suppress their feelings and have cold, strong as steel.
Yeah. I heard that too. I'm not I need a second opinion. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for a second opinion on that one.
Yeah, I don't think a cold heart is gonna get you very far. I mean,
no, people know I don't have a cold heart because I play mushy music and love songs and and sing and shit, and like they're like, he's a fucking pushover. Look at him. It's cool.
I think that, and so how, okay, so you said you struggle with, like with it after, being in jail and being out and you still struggle with those old ways. So what do you do? What do you do when you recognize that you're having those old thoughts? What do you do with it?
Well, for the most part, like if I'm online, I like to attempt to read and reread a tweet before I send it out. So I hope I'm able to catch myself, but I recognize that there's going to be times that I don't, I just got to keep moving forward and trying to train my mind into thinking a different way. And when I'm speaking in person, I think that's when it's the hardest, because I have to practice stopping and thinking before speaking. I'm used to just saying what I feel. And I think, I think that if you're going to be in spaces where you're having debates with certain mentalities, I think that it's logical to watch what you say and how you say it.
Yeah, like it's going to come out. Like if you're feeling a certain way, it's going to come out in your argument. And then you're going to have to like either kind of like, backtrack it or support it. Like, because people don't let it go.
They say to keep emotion out of it, right? And I think that one of the main steps of being able to keep emotion out of it is to think and give yourself more options of the way you want to say something. And whichever one of your mind sounds, more just about the subject and trying to keep individuality out of it.
Yeah, like filter out like your own emotional stuff or your own feelings about the actual topic.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah.
That does make sense.
It does, because otherwise, if you're coming at something and then they don't know the whole backstory of why you would feel that way. You know what I mean? Like they don't know your whole story. They don't know like why you would feel that certain way at that time and why something might trigger you to say a certain thing. Because they don't know you that way.
Yeah, but the type of world we live in now. If you have if you say anything slightly negative towards Ukraine and this whole matter, you're a Putin puppet.
Oh, Immediately.
Putin
That's
lover,
the tactic that both sides use, is immediately smear you. No matter what side you're on, both, you know what I mean? Like if you're way on the right and you say this, they will smear you. They'll say a thing about you. It's the same thing. Like as soon as you say that, anybody says that, you're a Putin puppet. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's so foolish. Like I get I was speaking to someone who is pro-Ukraine, on that pro-Ukraine side, and I said, yeah, but this is why you're wrong about that side. And then they'll come back to me and be like, oh, well, there's Nazis in Russia. Like, okay, but why are you telling me about Russia? I'm not trying to big up Russia. I don't care about Russia.
It's what about it?
Like, it's all what about it?
Well, what about it?
Yeah.
They're fucking imperialists too. I'm not pro-Russia just because I'm critical of who we're sending money to.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I'm not pro any, like I'm pro the human race. I'm pro people. I'm pro what's right.
It's exactly the same exact division that, what do you mean you're not for Biden? What do you mean you're not for Trump? It doesn't matter.
People don't know what to do with us.
If you don't vote Biden, though. You ain't black if you don't vote Biden, though.
Oh, that's true. That's just my privilege coming through. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone. But that's true. I mean, that's exactly how that works. It's just meant to fucking cause division. Like, that's how they divide you. And they got a name for you as soon as they divide you on every single topic, on every single issue, current narrative device that they're using. And both sides are exactly the same. They're just one side. They just have different, different bosses, basically. It's all the same fucking shit. It doesn't matter. People, the idea of our entire fucking system is just complete nonsense, and everybody just goes along with it, just screaming at you to vote like it can't ever end. You know what I mean? Like there's never ever been a possibility of coming up with a better way to do things. Like you can't even think that in this country. You cannot suggest that the Declaration of Independence or the fucking Bill of Rights could use a little tweak. No, you can't do that. You're not going to amend everything, are you? You can't do that. No, fuck that. Let it all fall. Let's fucking build a new fucking ship. You know what I'm saying? I'm not for any of this. The whole system is everybody playing this game, talking about how important it all is. It's just nonsense. It's just narrative. Like it just goes on for the sake of it going on, so that it can go on, so that people can vote, and so the system doesn't change, but just incrementally enough, right? And that's it. That's the system. That's the fucking garbage that you want me to fucking be a part of. Fuck that, dude. I'm done. You know what I mean? All this talk about politics and all these people that are affecting all these other people.
It's like one big circle jerk.
It's
really.
just a big fucking circle jerk to keep everybody voting, to keep everybody in their fucking spot, so that the top keeps making money and the bottom keeps suffering. And that's it. It does not change.
And then they keep pushing the whole racial divide.
Yep. And they blame it on racism. They blame it on all these things. It's economic, bro. That's how the system works. It's just built to get you from the race side, from the fucking economic side, from the gender side, and keep you in the fucking coal mine. That's it. They're just mining us for our life force. And that's fucking sad. People don't realize it. They just keep their head down and go to work and fucking never question anything. This is just the way it is.
Some people don't want to. And I know some people who have had really, really rough ass lives.
Yeah.
That just want to go through the motions of what they do have and just live it out.
Yeah.
There's some people that just don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you can expose them to. They're not going to get up and change anything.
Yeah, they're not.
Or do anything different. They're not ever going to go in the streets. There are just certain people that just won't.
There's a lot of them in this country that are just apathetic, that don't hear me talking at all, dude. They're just like, but Steve, that's just crazy. Well, what do you mean not voting? Voting is the most fundamental thing in the world. And that. Yeah, well, okay, I'll agree with you that voting is a fantastic system, except it doesn't work that way. That's what the problem is. It's like, if it worked the way that it came set on the package, then sure, let's go. But it doesn't.
Yep.
Never has.
And
Certainly
then,
worse now than it ever was.
And they bring, race into that.
Yep.
And then they divide people with, how they vote, and these people should vote this way, and this percentage of this race should vote this way, and this these people will vote this way. So who is perpetuating this constant divide and this constant racism?
People in power. The people who tell you what to do. The club that you ain't in.
Yeah. Yeah, it is tough to mod sometimes over on Combo Couch, depending on what their topic is. Yeah, you have to be like up to date to know what the fuck is happening.
That's why I keep finding whatever I can to read, to educate myself with, because I feel like there's constant changing positions, and these people are playing like 3D chess. They're looking at it as this is one game that we need to play. If it fails, well, we have to start this one. We also have to start this one. So it's multiple different layers of how they're trying to, get caught,
Yeah.
And that's just what we're allowed to know about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so much more
The whole
that we are
agenda.
not allowed to know about. And it's crazy because the ties go, it's like a fucking octopus, man. Like it's everywhere. They're in everything. They're in everywhere. They have created these systems. They have designed these systems to be a certain way. And a lot of it is based upon old, out of date, not factual racism.
Yeah, there's a lot of racism baked into science that people don't talk about. Tuskegee and all kinds of just really fucking horrendous shit.
It's
stuff with
ridiculous.
Fauci and AIDS and just come on.
I mean, even just medical devices.
Yeah.
Medical devices are not all made that where they check your blood pulse, your pulse ox and stuff. The darker your skin tone, it might not register it as well. There's a lot of medical devices that because they're designed to be beneficial to certain like lighter skin.
That's pretty fucked up. You're going to build a device that measures through the skin, but you don't compensate for the pigment of the skin being any pigment. Like that's just that's
there's
bizarre.
a bunch of stuff like that, medical
It takes you
things
to
that are racist in itself too.
That's horrible.
And this and at some point you have to go, well, is this by design? Because if this is inherent and this is everywhere and nobody is making a big enough of a stink about it and nobody's making changes to these things, then is this by design? Well, then we need to tackle that.
Well, it is by design because, and also like I said, it's generational. You know what I mean? The lines of divide like that by racial fucking ideas and these eugenic ideas and things and vaccine passports and all the things that are coming in the future, very quickly are being implemented. They're going to have population control under control in a fucking hot minute. Mark my words, they are definitely going to do that. They're talking about spraying aerosols from the fucking sky in Australia, and they already have them there. They already have vaccine passports there.
Okay,
they have them in
be careful,
Israel.
Steve. Where we're going with this?
Well, I'm just trying to say that
I'm trying to say that I don't want the
relevant.
channel taken down.
Yeah.
So be careful with where you're going with this conversation on YouTube.
I'm not saying anything that I haven't heard before, but okay.
I'm just saying, be very careful. We've approached a lot of keywords and a lot of things tonight that they if they decide they want to. We've seen it. It's happened here before.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not unreasonable for me to be warning you.
I want to state that I'm no medical expert or doctor, and I'm not giving anyone advice about anything. So there you go.
It's really complicated.
Yeah, it's very complicated.
It's complicated to know what we're allowed to talk about, what we're not allowed to talk about, how much they squeeze us. Constantly having to look over our shoulder. Like, are we allowed to say this? Are we allowed to say this? Is this going to be okay? Because they can decide that something's not okay. And then suddenly,
it's not okay.
We get flagged for things. It's like they're making the rules up as they go and how they want to.
That was precisely what I was saying. That it's pretty bullshit baked in.
I mean, so like, how do you break out of the racism? Like, you know, when it's in the prisons, when it's in every aspect of everything, when it's reinforced there.
I don't know. I think Little turned into a sex bot. So careful, everybody. Simmer down now.
Next thing you know, he's gonna see. If you want to see webcam girls, click here.
Click here. He's gonna have links next time.
No!
Oh man. Damn it.
So, Steve, you experienced the same thing, right? When you were locked up?
Well, yeah, kind of. I definitely understood the pecking order that was in place, you know. And it was by races basically. But I didn't fit in with that fucking whole fucking white neo-Nazi fucking shit that they were representing at jail. So that presented a problem. Luckily, I was friends with the kids from St. Lucia and Jamaica and a Dominican kid in the same cube with me. And I was cool with them guys. So it was all good. Like, I was down with them. They were like, I got your back. Don't worry about shit. And I had like, it was a tiny little jail and I could come and go as I pleased. I could go to other dorms and hang up flyers and shit. If I was balling, I would have been fucking blowing up because I could literally just interact with people all over the place. And I didn't, but I just did what I was supposed to do. But I absolutely could have done that. You know, the idea presented itself to me a couple of times, like, oh shit. Because people would come up and ask me for weed and shit. So, because I was a hippie. So I guess the deal was don't fuck with the hippie. But other than that, you know, I did 19 months like that and without any fights with anybody. And was down with those guys. It was cool. I wonder how they're doing now.
Yeah, you're lucky. You were lucky at that time that they kind of like took you under their wing.
Oh fuck yeah, I was lucky. Are you kidding me? I was lucky as fuck. It was ridiculous to be able to know that I was like not gonna get stabbed laying on my bed, fucking reading with headphones on, fucking completely in another world. Yeah, that was handy to know. You know, in a fucking dormitory style. You know what I mean? Like anybody could have fucking ran in and fucking ganked you fucking bad.
I hate those type of. I rather have those 2-man cells than.
Yeah, I did. You know, I only did like a month and a week in a 2-man cell, and that was awesome. I was like, oh, hopefully I fucking get that same fucking kind of setup. You know what I mean? You feel like you have your own space, and
yeah.
Fine. But in a fucking in a dorm with 6 fucking beds in a fucking cube, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot.
So I don't know that we're going to have the answers to overcome this, you know.
Yeah.
But I think that this is the beginning of a conversation that was really important to have.
I think it's important to have that conversation with people. Don't be a weasel about it. And you know, the idea is like, if fucking racist jokes still fucking make you laugh and fucking deeply laugh and like you think that's just the funniest shit, then guess what? You're probably pretty fucking racist. You're probably a fucking dumbass and don't realize why that's offensive. And somebody should have a conversation with you and maybe like help you to understand it. And maybe you'll be fucking rolling around in the fucking dirt, beating each other's ass over it. But at least you'll fucking, you know what I mean? You'll know where each other stands on the fucking situation.
Well, the way that I said it, that I've said it to other people that were racist, like, so, and they've made a comment or they like, you know, like they tend to like lower their voice and whisper it when they're gonna like what we were saying in one of the other articles, like you think that like, oh, because, you know, someone of your same perceived race, you think that they're going to be racist like you. So they'll like say something to kind of like test the waters and like joke about it and see if it's okay. Mm-hmm. And I've said to people, you know, if you can't go out in the middle of the street and yell something because you know that you're going to get backlash or you'll get fucking punched by somebody, then it's probably not something you should be fucking saying.
Well,
It's probably fucking racist or something. If you're saying something along those lines, if you can't go out in the middle of the street, if you can't say it loud and proud on the street corner, you can't be talking just normal conversation about it, then there's probably something that you shouldn't be saying.
that's true, because people do that a lot, where they won't own their fucking, bigoted fucking ideas and opinions, and they'll just talk in hushed tones about
Oh yeah,
and
blah,
word
blah, blah,
that,
blah,
and
blah.
whatever, like.
And it's like, no, fuck you, dude. That's not okay. It needs to be called out.
Yeah.
I've just always done that. I wish that more people would do it.
Yeah, my dad used to say, "Wish in one hand and shit in the other." See which one's better. And I
Why
was
would
like,
I
well,
want to do that? Like, what does that even mean?
and it means wishing doesn't do shit. See the metaphor now? It's ugly and the truth.
Well, I think that if I could give the world one thing, I always say this.
Give them the ugly truth.
I would give them the truth. I would make truth be a thing.
Make truth be a thing. Hey, that's my next presidential campaign slogan.
Make peace with truth. I think that's how we make peace in this country, and then that's how we make peace here, and it's how we make it spread farther through the world. Like,
how about we just
by actually, Steve.
Okay. I was gonna say, how about we just don't give trillions of dollars to weapons manufacturing companies.
Yeah, but if they had to tell the truth about what they were doing, do you think that they would get away with it?
Oh yeah, most of them guys don't give a fuck. They're like, this will blow up fucking 9 blocks of fucking buildings. They're only fucking $700,000 a
No,
piece.
if the president and everybody in Congress and everybody actually had to tell the actual fucking truth, and it wasn't like an acceptable thing that they just lie about whatever the fuck they want, then they wouldn't get away with as much shit.
Maybe, but there'd be an adjustment period to be sure. it would fucking break everything. Maybe that's exactly the revolution we need right there. Truth revolution. Come on, people. Stop being a bunch of wusses. Tell the fucking truth. God damn it. She's talking big tortilla money.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tortilla money. Oh no.
Oh
fucking
no.
burrito cartel. Oh,
No.
oh God. That gives me crazy t-shirt ideas. Don't do that, little. God damn
Let
it.
me find out. Big flour tortilla is paying you.
Big flour tortilla. Of course it'd be white, wouldn't it?
Oh my god. Oh my god. It certainly wouldn't be tomato.
All you see is like a white tortilla with fucking black wave flares on. Yo. Oh man.
No.
Oh, big tortilla money.
Oh,
yeah.
Jason said, I see respect as being honest, direct, and truthful, and that doesn't not seem to be shared as a definition with most people, but it is mine. Yeah, it's important. It's fucking important.
That's kind of exactly what we're talking
That's
about.
what we're building here
That's what we're trying to
in
do.
our community here.
Just trying to be real with people and, talk about fucking things that are hard to talk about, because if you don't, then you won't. And they, certain shit is just fucking ridiculous. And I think, blaming.
Oh, I'm not sad. My fault. I just had the phone lowered.
Whoa. Okay. He's I see now.
I'm perfectly fine. I'm not sad. I'm like
well,
down
thanks.
here, and they're like, "Oh, he looks sad."
Oh, don't be sad. He's sad because of my white privilege, you guys. He's sad for me because now we can't be brothers.
I know.
Damn it! It's so close.
If Steve could just finally recognize his.
If only I could. God damn it.
I keep trying to tell him every day. And he says, no. No.
I make it a point to say that every single stream because I'm hoping there's somebody new that'd be like, "What? What's going on here?" And really,
And then after like
privilege.
after a few streams, we could do a little montage of them.
You guys are ridiculous.
I like it. I like
Well,
the long story arc, you know.
This has been
Yeah,
such a
that's
great
definitely an inside joke. That was awesome.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
This has been such a great conversation. I think it's really important that we continue to have conversations like this.
Yeah. I would agree.
And continue talking about the things that, you know, that people just like largely ignore. Like they'll talk about racism, but they don't actually talk about the fact that racism is a social construct.
Yeah. They don't understand that the idea in itself is just like a made up thing. That's crazy. It's crazy that people don't understand that.
And I think if we educate people on that and people realize that more and more,
I think
that maybe we can like they can understand, you know what I mean? Like, oh, will they have a light bulb moment?
I would hope. I think just to be able to become like, you know, to understand that, oh, well, they made up a thing to divide people and to make people, yeah. You know, they call, you know.
It's a bigger psyop. Like it's older than.
It's super old. That's weird. All right.
It's one of the longest ongoing things.
Let's end our discussion on racism. And maybe we can have some meat butter or something. I don't know.
Meat butter and meat water.
Where the hell is Miguel? God damn it. Is he sick?
I know. Where's Miguel?
Better not be. Hopefully he's watching another stream. We love Miguel. He's a good dude.
Jason says we should have a silent stream for like 2 hours. Yeah, okay. Now with us.
Booga booga.
Oh my God. Jason's demanding a picture. Get over here and do a thing. See?
Screenshot.
Here we are. Yay. Is that better?
There you go, Jason.
He's like, I went to the bathroom. What happened?
I know.
I missed it.
Yeah, I don't know where Miguel is.
I don't know.
I miss him. I miss people when they're not around. Like I notice when people aren't around.
Yep. I want it on Twitter and I want it now.
Oh my God, look at how demanding.
He's no directing, please.
We're gonna like do a bunch of pictures on and put them on there and tag Jason in every one.
Yes.
That you might not like what you see.
Careful what you wish for.
We'll start tagging like we at the grocery store.
Oh no.
Just random pictures like, oops, it went off. Let's send it to Jason. Well, thanks a lot, Apple Jack, for hanging out with us and rapping.
Oh yeah. Anytime.
Hell yeah.
I love it when you guys invite me.
People can find you on Twitter. If they are on Twitter.
Applejack59. I would say on Facebook, but I'm banned for 29 days.
Why do they? How do they even ban people for that long? Like,
I don't know. That's wild.
Like,
well,
I'm gonna
I get
break
banned
you up
a lot, so
this.
it like starts with like 8 hours and then 24 hours and 48 hours, and I'm at a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're racking it up. That's cool, though.
I keep getting banned for different shit. They don't like what I post. That's why I'm saying like I get a little bit more freedom with Twitter because like they don't ban me as much, but they still ban me.
They suspended your original account.
Bastards.
I know.
I keep trying to
Effing
share it.
nuts.
Like, I keep trying to share your Twitter. Like, come on, come and follow him. You know, like.
I know that shit sucks. I have to regroup all those followers.
But I
I
think
have so
Applejack.
many, but-
I think not Applejack. Jax followed you back. She said.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, she definitely did. I wanted to
Yeah, I
after the
sent her a
stream.
DM.
Actually, I was gonna like DM her with like an apology or something because I don't know what I did.
I think she thinks it was on accident.
That's quite possible.
Okay, okay, that's cool. Yeah,
you can
I was
totally
thinking,
do that
like,
on your
I don't know
phone.
what
Easy, I think.
Yeah, it's easy to hit the button on it on accident. So I think that's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Well,
I was
everybody.
wondering, 'cause I was like, we usually have a good report, you know? It was weird.
Yeah. Today is what, Thursday?
Today is Thursday. It's Friday now.
It is
12:01.
Friday now.
Friday
I know.
now.
I don't know if we'll be on tonight or
Probably,
today
yeah.
at some point, possibly, but we will definitely be here for Saturday for open mic, and we're gonna stream. So we're gonna have a special edition, you know, and we're gonna still do a stream on
Christmas
Sunday
song.
Yeah.
because we don't celebrate Christmas. So we're gonna do a stream and just like hang out and have fun.
And stuff.
We're gonna have
Maybe-
a whole bunch
maybe
of
Skylar will
Christmas
join us.
songs. Open mic's
Chris-
gonna be filled with Christmas songs.
Oh gosh, is it?
Oh. Well, make
That's
sure
okay.
you consume alcohol and everything will be fine.
Yeah, they're gonna be singing "I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus."
Oh, beautiful.
Oh my gosh. Jason says, I hope everyone is interested in my petition to outlaw makeup in the workplace.
Makeup. I'll sign your petition, man. I love Apple's militant attitude. Yes. Okay. I like when Peaches says apples. Better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy birthday
I
to
know he's
Skylar.
really
and Peaches.
saying.
Happy birthday.
I really know he's saying Apple Jack. He just forgets to say the Jack.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Peaches and Skylar.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Skylar and Peaches.
And tune in for the open mics, and maybe we'll do a stream later and just, play some tunes. I don't
All
know.
right. Hang out
Definitely.
there for 1 second. Bye, guys.